Hello, my name's Vince Sheehan, and today I'd like to talk about the Daleks, the second story in season one of the classic series, starring William Hartnell as the Doctor. And I thought this was such a great story. I mean, I've watched it a few times. I've just watched it again, and it must have been amazing to see the Daleks for the first time the end of 1963, going into 1964. If you were a child at that Christmas time, you must have been truly mesmerised, perhaps even terrified by these wonderful aliens, these wonderful monsters. And they've become so iconic, haven't they? Such an amazing design, so memorable, such a kind of scary but slightly comic voice as well. Truly a fantastic creation. Terry Nation, of course, wrote this story, and he invented the Daleks. And it's said that he was kind of a young boy at the time of World War II, and perhaps some way the Daleks are based on the Nazis. And you see a couple of hints of that, I think, in the story. Particularly Ian says something along the lines of these creatures just hate anything that's different from them. And that has a real resonance, doesn't it, with kind of people driven by kind of racist ideology such as Nazism. It's a very long story. I mean, 7 episodes, and perhaps certainly, the 6th episode is perhaps what you might call padding these days when they're going through the tunnels, although it's still very enjoyable. And it's such an interesting story about this planet Skaro with these two peoples on there, the Daleks and the Thals. The Thals are peace-loving group, and then the Daleks just want to destroy the atmosphere because they realise that they thrive on radiation, and of course that would eliminate the Thals and anyone else who happens to be on the planet. The Daleks' vision is truly terrifying. What they want to do, and their sheer evil, into destroying anything which isn't them. The Doctor is fantastic in this, William Hartnell. Great performance. He is so charming, the way he kind of got Ian's name wrong a couple of times. I don't know whether it was intentional every time. He's known for getting his lines a bit wrong, wasn't he, here and there? But, he provides... He's just so kind of great to watch and listen to, William Hartnell as the Doctor. And I love his portrayal of the Doctor because he has that kind of slightly self-centred and kind of grumpy side to him as well. Basically the reason why they got in so much trouble, the Doctor and his companions, on Skaro, is because the Doctor, to sate his curiosity, invented this kind of ruse that he'd lost this thing called the fluid link, or that he needed mercury for it. That was it. And of course he didn't. It was just a lie. But that kind of put them in all kinds of danger. And that's, I think that's great that he's just not this kind of whiter than white heroic character. There's a bit of ambiguity and darkness, particularly in the first Doctor, I think. And the companions are good as well. Ian kind of is like this kind of rugged hero going through the tunnels, and Barbara has that classic shot, doesn't she, when we see the Dalek's arm for the first time at the end of the first episode, a truly iconic moment in the show. The story is really entertaining, particularly if you split it up and don't try and watch the whole thing all the way through. The Thals are quite interesting, perhaps a bit kind of wet, a bit kind of bland, I guess, but they're these kind of peace-loving kind of muscle-bound characters. There's even a bit of romance in this story as well between Barbara and one of the Thals, and that's quite touchingly dwelt on right at the very end of the story. And then we have that cliffhanger into the edge of destruction. The Daleks is full of interesting themes as well. You know, like I mentioned about this kind of this destruction and hatred of the other, which kind of has resonances with, you know, kind of the mid-20th century, the Second World War, and of course today as well, you might argue. Certainly today. And you also have the idea of civil war and pacifism and the harm of nuclear power, which can be brought on creation. There's a lot of death in this story as well. It's really dark once you get under the skin of this story. You know, the forest is just dead. These kind of petrified trees and the creature in there they find. And the Doctor and his companions are dying from radiation sickness, and a lot of the Thals die. And at the end, even when the Daleks appear to be dead, you know, one of the Thals says, you know, there must have been another way, you know, which is a topic. It's kind of discussed that the loss of life is something that returns in Doctor Who. You might think of the end of the Warriors of the Deep, Peter Davison story. Overall, I really like the Daleks. It's a fantastic story, and it's of course the beginning of probably the most amazing science fiction creature, stroke alien, stroke monster ever, in my opinion, the Daleks. And the Doctor's great in it as well. I've put a brief slideshow as well about the themes and how I see the structure of the story as well, just to run after this. Thanks for watching. Bye.